pickup spot was at a house. And I guess they're told what I look like and description of my car.
Red hat, braids. Right, okay.
Kind of shit. I parked on the street, and there's a white Ram truck with its lights on sitting at another house. And I made a mental note of that because I thought it was strange. It was, I don't know, maybe 1 a.m, pretty late at night. I made a mental note of that truck because I thought it was weird. And I just remember having a heavy feeling about that and thinking, what if they took down my license plate number? I don't know who that is or what they think I'm doing. You never know who's in that car or what their intention is, especially at a weird time like that, you know, in an unfamiliar area. But I parked on the street and I saw a large group of people come out of this house, more than I was expecting. I think I was told there was going to be like 3 or 4 people. And I just remember like 10 people coming out of this house, and I'm kind of looking at them, they're kind of looking at me, and we're just like checking each other out for a few minutes, like, you know, like everyone's just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, I think these are my people. And most of them started to walk over to the car, and I was unprepared because I'm like, whoa, like I wasn't expecting, you know. But then some of them turned around and went back into this house. So I had my original
The house
number
they came
of
out
people.
of.
Yeah, so it was weird. It was like a big group of people came out.
To check out maybe your vehicle, and then some of them...
Yeah, and it just, like I said, I was down the street, and I just remember they were kind of staring at me, staring at my car, and I was like, are these, you know, like I don't know who. And so I guess we're filling each other out. I waited for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. They're standing there. I'm sitting in my car, and eventually, you know, like I said, they come over, and then some of them turn back, and then I just have my set number of people, and I'm good to go. And the truck was still on. The truck was still sitting there, that white truck. But I drove off at that point and tried not to worry about it anymore.
Okay.
Because I figured, you know, maybe they didn't call my license plate in. If it was really that urgent and they wanted to confront me or thought I was doing something bad, they would have done it. I just drove off, no problem. I'm minding my business, they're minding theirs. Everything must be okay. Operation as normal.
Okay. Okay, so you got to the port of entry. Mm-hmm. So this is in Piedras Negras. You get to the port of entry. You get across.
Oh, I made it through the port of entry. I didn't get caught till I was in Texas. This is the up part.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. I'll never know exactly why I got caught that day or what happened.
Okay, so just to set this up, I mean, we'll go back into some of the other migration stuff, but you had how many people in your trunk?
Oh, 3 or 4.
Okay.
Three people.
3 people.
3 people.
You'd gotten them in. You have a not large car. I won't say what kind, but it's not a huge car.
Yes.
So it's kind of getting them pushed in and close the trunk.
Yep.
So you get through the port of entry. So
yep, I'm good to go.
A call must have been made to watch out for, you know, red hat, braids, whatever it is, because they could have seen with infrared or whatever that you had people in your trunk.
Yes.
So you made it through the port of entry at Eagle Pass. You get into Texas, and you've got a route that you've been told to take to a spot, a drop house, to drop the people off.
Yes, and I think, I can't remember where LaGrange is. LaGrange and Eagle Pass are the 2 areas you really, oh no, not LaGrange, La Pryor, sorry, excuse me. So Eagle Pass is obviously a hot spot and you have to be careful there, but they really tell you to watch your ass in La Pryor for some reason, because that's where everyone seems to get caught.
Hot spot for law enforcement personnel?
Yes, they will.
Catching people?
They will pull you over even if you're going 2 miles over the speed limit. So I was told car and cruise control always be at least 5 miles under the speed limit. Do not.
Under?
Yes.
Speed limit 50, you go 45.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And La Pryor, I don't know what it is about that city or town. It's pretty small, pretty close to the border. I don't know. I would think Eagle Pass would be more of a hot spot, so I found this strange. I've never seen so many cops in my life. I remember I had people at one point, and I was going around sort of a bend while I was driving. This was when the sun had started to come up. This was a whole separate run. And I was in La Pryor. I was going around this bend, and I must have seen, I you not 40 cop cars in a row. Like, I sat there and I started to count them at one point because I was like, this is insane. Like, I've never seen this many cops before. And it's you see a lot of cops. They're like, it's like crawling, just overflowing with cops. It gives me the heebie-jeebies even when I don't have anything on me that I'm not supposed to. If I'm not doing anything bad, no one likes to be around that many cops. So I don't know what it is about that area specifically, but they tell you to watch out for La Pryor. Like, you watch your ass once you get into that territory.
Okay, so you made it through there.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Okay, so I got into a smaller, I didn't know what it was at this point because I'd been through port of entry and I'd been through smaller checkpoints before, like the one Joe had sort of demonstrated to me what happens, where they'd taken his car apart in front of me. So I get to sort of a larger checkpoint, but it didn't look like a checkpoint I had seen before. There were cones blocking off the roadway and there were only commercial trucks in front of me. I believe there was like maybe 3-4 commercial trucks in front of me. And I remember thinking, okay, maybe this is where they inspect like the fruit or like, you know, vegetables that come over from Mexico. I was kind of confused. I was like, what is this? I think, you know, I'm in a commercial truck inspection point.
What time of day was this?
I want to say this was maybe like 4 a.m. at this point.
So not much on the roads except the big trucks?
Yeah, I've been driving for hours at that point. So, you know, I'd had not a sinking feeling, but just sort of an uneasy feeling in my gut for those whole few hours because there had been an unexpected delay the night before, which was not uncommon, but it's usually not a good sign. There had been that unexpected delay and just I had an uneasy feeling the whole time I was driving just for these few hours. I'd pulled into a gas station at one point. I was pretty low on gas. I had the people in my trunk. And this was in Texas, and a cop car pulled up next to me, and my people are making noise in the trunk. They're making noise. I have a fucking cop next to me, like, you know,
like thumping around or talking to each other.
I just thumping, and I remember, and this was the part that scared the shit out of me, because I was high. I was high at the time. I was trying to calm my nerves. I'd smoked some weed. And that's obviously a mistake you don't want to make. You want to have your wits about you. You want to be clear-headed, obviously, thinking straight when you do this. But it's not a part of my downfall. I'd smoked some weed to calm my nerves. I thought I was going to pump some gas. I was going to go inside to get a water bottle. I start to go inside to the gas station to buy a water bottle, and I'm so paranoid from the weed at that point. There's a cop in the gas station, so I act like, you know, like I'm checking my phone or my watch or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go pump gas, kind of just turn back around, go to pump gas. F***ing cop car is still sitting next to me. It's on. He hasn't gotten out to get gas or anything. And I hear, in my trunk, I hear, aye. I was like, you know, because they're making noise, and the noise is coming from my trunk, and I have a f***ing cop next to me, you know, and obviously that, I feel like that's enough for probable cause. I could get caught at that point. I get back in the car, and like I told you I'd do before, I hook my phone up to the Bluetooth and I type into Google Translate, and I blasted it through the car in Spanish. Do not get out of the trunk. Do not get out of the trunk. Do not make noise. Because sometimes when the car stops, they think it's time to go and get out. Because I've had that happen before. I put my car in park, and they think, oh, we're here, and you know, you hear them start like making a ruckus and making a fuss because they think that the car has stopped and they're at the destination. So you have to let them know, stay in the car, don't make noise. And I didn't get caught at that point, so I fill up my car and I'm shaking, you know, and I drive away because I fully expected this cop to have heard what the was going on in my trunk, you know. And I look out of place. I look strange, you know. I don't feel like I look like I belong in that area. I drive for a little farther, maybe an hour and a half more at that point. Just this uneasy feeling starts of, I feel like I'm gonna get caught today. And I'm trying to rationalize myself, say, I've done this before. I've done this a handful of times. I've never gotten caught. I always just keep my head down. Things go to plan. why the hell would I get caught now?
And this was, you were saying, your 6th-ish trip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd had a little experience under my belt. I was trying to convince myself, I'm like, I've done it the same way every time. There's no reason why I'd get caught this time. I'm overreacting. You know, I'm being paranoid. There's no reason. I just could not shake this gut feeling that day that like something is wrong, like something is bad. And I did have a small load of people, which makes me think that I was possibly being used as the decoy. I forget, they have an actual word for it, for that person when they don't know they're being set up, you know. But I think I might have been used as a decoy. Anyways, I'm in my car. I see these commercial trucks in front of me. And like I said, I was confused. I thought I was at a commercial truck inspection or something like that. I start to put the car in reverse, and I realize I'm trapped. Like these cones, I can't go anywhere. I can't make a U-turn. I'm literally not allowed to go back the way I came. I start looking around, and
if you do, they get really suspicious, potentially chase you.
I think it's like illegal. I think like you have to go through there.
I see.
Like as soon as you turn through
why
those
are you trying to
cones.
avoid?
Yeah, and
right.
even before you get to the cones, you can't make a U-turn in the middle of the road. It's just a 2-lane road, you know, one direction each way. You can't make a U-turn there. It's illegal. So even if I hadn't got to the cones to the point where I was blockaded in, it was still going to be like I made an illegal U-turn, you know, and just dipped and started going the other way. So I was fucked kind of at that point. And it's so pitch black out there, you know, you can't just drive off without them noticing. They're going to notice your headlights and shit. It's pitch black, you know? And I start getting closer, and some dude comes out with a dog, and I just remember being like, that's a cop. That's a cop. Like, that's not just, you know, someone...
That's not Customs and Border Patrol. There was an actual police officer with a dog? Or was it Customs and Border Patrol with a dog?
This was Border Patrol.
Okay.
But I just remember thinking, like, that's a cop. Like, that is actual law enforcement, not just someone who's doing whatever kind of...
Commercial truck inspections. I see.
So at that point, I just started, I kind of knew. I was like, okay, I think I might be about to get caught up. You know, I'm looking up at I believe you said it's called a hangar, correct?
Yes.
I'm looking up, and I notice there's cameras everywhere, and I'm assuming they're infrared cameras, you know, thermal cameras. They're gonna know. And I text Joe. I can't remember exactly what I said. I said something unexpected checkpoint, something along those lines, because they do tell you, you know, like you're gonna go through this route and there's no checkpoints, or you're gonna go through this route and there's like one small checkpoint, or there's watch out for this checkpoint here and this one here, you know, like be aware of that. Well,
you weren't warned about this one.
No, that's why I was so confused, because I arrived and I was like, what the is this? I wasn't aware that, which is another reason that makes me believe I was being set up at that run. And the guy comes out with his dog. I texted Jose. I said something about unexpected checkpoint. And at that point, he did not respond right away, and I started just deleting it off my phone. I was, there was nothing incriminating in our iMessages, but I still went into iMessages, and this obviously doesn't do much, but I was taking whatever precautions I could at the point. If they were to forensically go into my phone, I would be f***ed. But it actually kind of worked into my favor, and I had some leverage because they didn't end up going into my phone. But I started deleting everything. I deleted all of the conversations. I cleared the history in my WhatsApp. I deleted the WhatsApp app because I was told that's one of the first things they do if you get caught. They look at your WhatsApp, your iMessages.
Okay, so just to back this up a little bit, you knew you were caught because what happened?
Yeah, because I wasn't expecting a checkpoint. If I'm going through a checkpoint, I know about it. I get there, I'm like, what the f*** is this?
Okay, so you're behind a truck or two.
Yeah.
You know that eventually the attention's going to be on you.
Yep.
So at this point, you're trying to get as much off your phone as possible.
I'm in panic mode at this point, and this is probably another thing that led to me getting caught. It was inevitable, I feel like, but this did not help my case. Not only had I smoked weed before, and I'd done a little coke too. I'd picked up some coke the night before. And
Through your work contacts?
Yes.
Okay.
I was looking, well, at the time I was struggling with my addiction with two of my drugs of choice, my two favorite. And when you are doing hard drugs, you know, muscle relaxers, cocaine, heroin, somas, things like that, it takes a toll on you pretty quickly. And it's pretty easy to pick someone out if they're, say, a hardcore, like a meth head or a heroin addict. There are signs. So I'd drawn attention to myself, first of all, because I looked strung out, I looked high, I looked f***ed up, I looked like a drug addict, which is never a good thing. You want to look normal. You know, you want to look like a f***ing travel blogger, you know, some little white girl with her video camera. You don't want to look like a heroin addict. What the f*** is a heroin addict doing going all the way down to Mexico and coming back? You have to have a reason for that. What the f*** are you involved in? Because you already look sketchy.
And you knew you looked this way?
I ran out of time that morning to like put myself together and look like a normal person. I was smoking. I looked, my clothes were rumpled. I remember my hair was crazy. And like I said, at that point, I was heavily into my addiction. So the whites of my eyes had become kind of yellow. I think the heroin was affecting my body, my liver or something at that point. I'd lost a significant amount of weight. My cheekbones were very sunken in. My eyes were sunken in. I looked gaunt, pale, huge circles, bags under my eyes. Yellow eyes, fidgety, just kind of sketchy, paranoid. I didn't look right for sure, which is bad. You never want to go in looking like that. So that was another mistake I made on my part. I'm freaking out at this point. I'm just trying to delete as many things as I can, just reduce the evidence. I drive up and I know I look f***ed up. I know I look like I'm doing drugs or like I'm involved in drugs. So I know that's already not a bad sign, and my mindset is not in the right space. And the guy was like, "What are you doing? Why are you here?" I gave him some basic answer. I don't remember what I said. And he kind of just stared at me with his flashlight. There was another guy with like a gun at that point, like one of the big guns, standing there. And this guy holding the dog with the flashlight runs the dog. He was like, you okay if I do, if I run my dog by your car? And, I don't have a choice. I say yes, because they're going to do it even if I say no. They run the dog by my car, and I'm praying by some miracle. I'm like, how the f*** is this dog going to know? Like, I have people in my trunk. Like, how can they alert to f***ing migrants? I've still not understood that to this day. He runs the dog by my car. I'm looking in the side mirror in my car. I don't see the dog alert or anything, but, I guess they have some hidden signal that the dog does. I don't know what they train the dog to do or what the police officers train to look for in the dog, but the dog sits down after he's done running it by my car, and he starts petting the dog, and he says, "Good girl, good," whatever the dog's name was. I can't remember. It was a girl dog. He said, "Good girl," and at that point I knew I was fucked, because he wouldn't have said that if the dog hadn't alerted. So I knew the dog had alerted at that point. Like, my options are I can floor it,
and then they chase you?
Yeah, or I can drive
or the guy
off
with
into
the gun
in the brush in the desert. So I'm like, okay, realistically, what are my options here? And, he says, "Good job" to the dog. I'm sitting there thinking. He steps back around, to talk to me, and he goes, "Ma'am, what do you have in your trunk?" I didn't answer him at that point. I said, I sighed. I knew it was over. I turned the car off. I stepped out, handed him the keys. He said, "Put your hands behind your back." And that was the end of it.
Wow.
They pop my trunk, and the people come out. They're all happy. They think they've arrived at their destination. They're grinning, they're nodding and shit. And then they see me, and I think they kind of realize this
and the
isn't
law
supposed
enforcement
to
personnel, and they're like, "Uh-oh."
So they have this minute of like, we're good, like we made it. Like, they're happy. They look excited. They're like, "F- yeah." And then I think they're realizing the gravity of, like, we're not leaving here. But this is what happens. So they get let go. I stay. And this is actually a common practice.
Wait,
with
let
Border
go
Patrol.
to what? Like drive your car somewhere?
No. They drive them back to Mexico a lot of the time.
Oh, I see. Just straight back to Mexico,
Yeah.
off you go.
And I'd actually overheard a conversation between, I guess, the sergeant, captain, lieutenant, whatever he was. He was in charge of that office, that Border Patrol office. One of the people under him had asked, what do you want to do with the rest of them? They had started loading immigrants, only immigrants, not the runners, onto the bus that was to the left outside of the little station, I guess.
They
I
had
could
caught
see it.
more people that night?
Oh, it wasn't me. It was like there was three people that got caught with me that same morning. It was,
Wow.
yes, and I will change the names of these people. One of them was a female, Bertha. There was Angel, and there was her partner, Fernando. They had all got caught that morning, obviously.
In different vehicles?
Yes.
Okay.
So Fernando and Angel were together making a run, and Bertha was making her own separate run, and then there was me, and we'd all gotten caught up that morning. But
Did you know each other before this, or were you all
I was
working
like,
for the same
who
cartel,
the fuck
maybe?
Are you guys? I don't know.
Being run by different people? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I have
Wow.
no idea.
Okay.
But yeah, the guy's talking to his head, his captain, whoever it is, and he says, what do you want to do with the rest of them? He says, get another bus, put them on it, drive them back. Drive them back to Mexico.
Okay.
And that's not always what they do, because there is the ICE section in prison where they take the immigrants. They're housed separately from us for some reason sometimes. Well, actually, it's only the men. It's only the male immigrants that are housed separately from general population. All of the females stay together. You have U.S. citizens and immigrants that are legally all housed together. But yes, the men have their ICE section, so they're completely separated from the rest of the population on the male side. But that is what they do with a lot of them. They literally put them on the bus and they send them back. And then the runner stays and serves their time.
Right. I've heard that with a lot of these migrants, when they pay to get taken across the border, they're given, and I've heard this in a couple of places, both Tijuana and in Nogales, they get 3 tries. So you pay $7,500 or whatever it is, and if you get caught and sent back, the cartel is still obligated to give you another couple of tries to get you across. Does that sound at all familiar?
I'm not sure so much about the obligation. Honestly, I couldn't give you details, confirm or deny that. But I was housed with, when I was in prison, people who this was their second, third time getting caught trying to cross the border. You know, they keep trying. So there could be some truth to what you're saying, but I can't confirm or deny that.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. Let's take a quick break. I got to swap battery out. I have a bunch more questions. So we'll get more to drink.
I know
and
there's a lot.
More
There's a
caffeine.
lot.
Yeah, this is fascinating.